It is Wednesday, May 28th, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Today we're going to talk about and do a bunch of tapping for when our past choices keep us stuck and we can't move forward. Well, good morning and welcome to Wednesdays with Gene. I am the eponymous Gene Monterastelli. Wednesdays with Gene are sponsored by the Tapping Mastery Academy, which I think is a great way for you to deepen your understanding and get more out of tapping every single time you sit down to tap. Today we're going to be talking about and doing a bunch of tapping around past choices and how our past choices can help us be stuck in this particular moment. Good morning to the folks who are checking in. We got folks in Pennsylvania, the United Kingdom, Massachusetts. Feel free to say hi in the chat box. Let us know where you are joining us from. Before we dive in, do anything, we always like to start with taking about a minute and a half and just doing some wordless tapping. Doing wordless tapping or content-free tapping is one of the most useful ways that we can tap. And I think that we get so wrapped up in trying to find the right words to say that it gets in the way of us tapping. So when in doubt, we're just going to tap. So once you do exactly that, tap on the side of the hand, take a nice big deep breath. And again, just move from tapping point to tapping point in the order that makes the most sense for you. If you get parked in one spot, stay there and just scan and pay attention to your system. And I always say this, but it's super important. For me, when I scan my system, I have a tendency to stop at my hips, go through your entire body. And just breathe easily and just go from point to point. Nice big deep breath, big stretch. Move around a little bit for me. If anything came bubbling up, jot that down. Capture those notes. Like it's super, super valuable. Like you could have got a to-do that showed up as you were tapping on that. You could have been in a circumstance where an issue showed up. There might have been an insight that you want to grab. It's super, super important that we're tracking all of this stuff. That's the reason why I've created the tapping tracker. This is the exact way that I track my tapping. Easy for me to say. We got a great little guide there. It's absolutely free. Go to tappingtracker.com, download that. It'll make it easier for you. Okay, so before we jump into today's content, just a couple of quick reminders. Next week, we're going to spend some time on the Wednesday Live talking about how information is not enough for us to transform. So often we think, oh, if I just knew the right thing to do, it would solve that particular problem. Number two, starting next Monday, we're doing this year's version of the Upper Limits Busters. This is one of my favorite live programs to do. Upper limit issues are where there is a ceiling to where your subconscious mind will allow you to move past. It holds you in spots so you don't evolve, so you don't transform. We start that on Monday, and mark your calendar, July 18 and 19, 24 hours of tapping. We got lots of details that we're taking care of right now. We'll have a lot more details in a couple of weeks on that, but mark your calendars. It's going to be a great event. We raised some money for the Peaceful Art Network that are doing amazing work in the world. So Full calendar, tappingqa.com/events. If you'd like to join us in the Tapping Mastery Academy, I would love for you to join us. We're actually, next month's primary focus is on financial abundance and how we can use tapping to transform that. tappingqa.com/TMA. And then if you'd like to join us next week for the Upper Limit Busters, tappingqa.com/ULB for Upper Limit Busters. And that is it. We got some folks who've checked in from Los Angeles, from Oregon, from the UK, from Quebec. Good morning. I'm glad you all are joining us, or good afternoon. So awesomeness. So letting go of and releasing the things in our past that are holding us back is something I think is really, really important to do. And the way that I approach this is in my framework. When I'm approaching transformation, there are 4 things that I'm always looking at as kind of the way that I unearth the limiting beliefs that are holding us back. And that is the SAWD process, SAWD, safe, allowed, worthy, deserve. And so for me, worthy and deserve, even though they sound like synonyms, and this is going to make sense for us letting go of the stuff in the past, worthy and deserve might feel like synonyms, but in the way I approach transformation, they are not. These are my definitions. You don't have to agree with these definitions, but this is the way that I engage with it. And so it goes something like this. Worthy implies birthright. Worthy implies I am made for. Where deserve is transactional. I am worthy of self-love because I'm a human. I'm made for self-love. I deserve to be paid for the work that I did. There's something transactional inside of that. Now, one of the things that can happen is emotionally, I can feel worthy of something without feeling deserving of that exact same thing. So the example would be, I am worthy of success because I'm a human. Humans are made for success. I do not deserve success because I have failed so much in the past that I have squandered all of my opportunities. And so if we are in a circumstance where we do not feel worthy or deserving, most of the work we're going to do today is around deserving, but if we don't feel worthy or deserving of something, one of the things that's going to happen is our subconscious mind is going to prevent us from being successful. Because our subconscious mind doesn't want us to reap, to take in something that we are not worthy or deserving of. And so if I don't feel like I can have it, I'm going to get in the way of having it happen. To quote my buddy Brad Yates, Brad always talks about the fact that resistance and limiting beliefs are just misguided self-love. And so when we're in a circumstance where we are not deserving of something, our system is going to prevent us from having that because it doesn't want it taken away. It doesn't want us to deal with taking more than our fair share, which ultimately is going to get unseated in some particular way. And so because of our relationship to our past, and most particularly our past choices, it's really, really easy that we can stay stuck in those and preventing ourselves from moving forward. So I want to do 3 rounds of tapping today. And I think these are the 3 primary things that are useful in letting go of the past so that we can seize opportunities, so we can take action, so we can create those authentic lives that we love. Because for me, that is the primary thing I use tapping for in my daily life. We can do all these things with it, but if I clear resistance, then I'm going to take authentic action and I'm going to create a life that I love. And so for me, clearing these sorts of things are just super, 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 super essential for me to create what is going on. Because if I have this drag, if I have this thing pulling me back, resistance around the failures in my past, I'm not going to move forward because my system's going to want me to be safe in that particular way. So the 3 things that come up for me when we're doing this is I've squandered past opportunities, therefore I don't deserve more today. I haven't paid the proper penance for the mistakes that I've made in the past, or it's too late for me to start. And too late for me to start and squandered opportunities in the past go hand in hand. So we're going to go with both of those. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a nice big deep breath. And I just want you to take a moment right now, and I want you to complete this sentence. Jot it down. You don't have to share it in the chat box if you don't want to. You're certainly welcome to, and we'll incorporate it into the tapping. But this is an insight I want you to gather for yourself. So take a nice deep breath. And I just want you to complete this sentence for me. The failure from my past, which I have not... I'm trying to think of the best way of saying this. The failure from my past in which I have not done enough to make up for is. Nice, easy breath. The failure from my past, which I have not done enough to make up for is. And as you tune into that, I want you to pay attention to what it does in your body. Because oftentimes when I tune into the failures of my past that I haven't done enough to make up for that failure, I just get small and heavy and inward in that particular way. So even if you don't have a memory at this moment, I want you to tune into that sensation. Tap on the side of the hand, take a nice easy deep breath. And just move from point to point. I recognize the fact. I am far from perfect. I recognize the fact. I've made lots of mistakes. And there is a part of me that believes that I should take responsibility for my mistakes. And I appreciate the fact. I think it's good for me to take responsibility for my mistakes. But at the exact same time, there is a part of me that so deeply wants justice in the world that it wants to make sure that I am truly and honestly and completely taking responsibility for my past mistakes. And because this is the case, not only am I taking responsibility, I am over taking responsibility. I am taking way more responsibility than I need to. And because I am taking so much responsibility and taking too much responsibility, I am keeping myself stuck. I am preventing myself from moving forward. I am not allowing myself to have change, to have transformation, to have healing. I am penalizing myself much too deeply. And in penalizing myself in this way, I am stealing from myself. I am stealing joy. I'm stealing opportunity. I'm stealing healing. I'm stealing transformation. I give myself permission to know continuing to take responsibility for every mistake means I am stuck in the past. And I give myself permission to know not staying stuck in the past is not me moving on too quickly. Is not me refusing to take responsibility. Part of taking responsibility is being in this moment. Part of taking responsibility is not being stuck in the past. I give myself permission to know that I can regret my past choices. I can take responsibility for my past choices. And not have to be a prisoner to those past choices. I give myself permission to be in this moment, no matter what my past looks like, and allow good things to happen in this moment. To allow goodness into my life. To allow healing and transformation and change. Nice big deep breath. Now, more than likely, if you're in a circumstance where you're still beating yourself up for the past and staying stuck in that, there was so much resistance as we tapped through that. Because there's a part of us that wants to be responsible, that wants to be mature, that wants there to be justice in the world. And how can there be justice in the world if I'm not willing to have justice in my own life for the choices that I am making and the way I navigate all of this? And so for me, there's a key difference between shame and guilt and regret. Shame and guilt are, shame is I am bad, guilt is I did bad, where regret is I recognize it is a choice that I wouldn't make again. I recognize that this is something that I would like to change. I recognize I'd like to take responsibility for it, but I am not staying stuck in the past. Shame and guilt are staying stuck in the past as we relive over and over again. Regret is me standing in the moment, taking responsibility for the past, but not staying stuck inside of that particular past. And so as we look at our past choices, so often, forgiving myself feels like I'm giving myself a pass. Forgiving myself is not giving myself a pass. Forgiving myself is choosing to not stay emotionally entangled in the past. I can learn, I can transform, I can take the lessons, I can take responsibility without having to stay stuck in the past when I did that particular thing. So, nice easy breath. Shake it off a little bit, grab a sip of water. If there's some things you need to jot down from that, please jot those ideas down. If there was resistance, write the resistance down. You need to it's a good idea. I'm not going to tell you need to do anything. It's a good idea to continue to reduce that resistance so you can take action and create the life that you want. Ah, it's a really interesting insight. Someone who is Catholic as well, Becky. It was better off when I went to confession, said my two Our Fathers, my three Hail Marys, and went on with my life. You know, one of the nice things about the Catholic sacrament of reconciliation is there's this penance that you do that is close-ended, that is simple, that is giving you permission to move on. We have permission to move on after we have been apologetic and have healed. It's okay. So number two, one of the reasons why stuff in the past gets in the way of the future and the moment is we feel like we've squandered opportunities. We recognize the fact that we have opportunities that other people do not. That is something that's really common for us to experience. If you're in a circumstance where you have time and the technology to engage with me live here or in the recording after the fact, it means you're in a really good spot because there are lots of people in the world who don't have the time, the energy, the space, or the technology to be joining us. And so you recognize you have a lot of good things inside of all of that. And so when we squander our past opportunities, there's a part of us that thinks that others should have opportunities. It's too late. We've blown it. So let's tap on that. Side of the hand, take a nice big deep breath. And just move from point to point. I recognize the fact. There is a part of me that recognizes that I have squandered past opportunities. There's a part of me that knows I have missed opportunities because of mistakes, because of lack of focus, because of laziness. And I give myself permission to know. Even though I've squandered opportunities in the past, it does not mean I am now out of opportunities. It does not mean that I'm not allowed to try again. Just because I missed out on something in the past, it does not mean that will be the case forever. There are more opportunities, and I'm allowed to access more opportunities. There are more chances to heal, and I'm allowed to seize those chances, even if I missed them in the past. I give myself permission to allow myself to be open to the opportunities in front of me today. There are not a limited number of opportunities in the world. There are not a limited number of opportunities for me. And I give myself permission in gentle, kind ways to allow myself to be open to opportunities today. No matter how I dealt with opportunities in the past, I am allowed to access and engage opportunities today. Nice easy breath. Again, shake it off. Grab some water. If there was a story, if there's a memory, a moment, I have a feeling as we went through that, if there was a moment where you recognize you squandered something in the past, it might have come surfacing down. Write a title for that particular thing. Do the movie technique after this. Go back, do a little inner child work. Find something where you can engage with that moment. But, my favorite thing in the world is when one of my clients says, this probably has nothing to do with it, but because if it comes showing up in that surprising way, and you might not be surprised by the memories and the stories that came up, but the fact that they just came up in an unsolicited way in this moment means that it's something that is worthwhile for you paying attention to. Again, jot some ideas down. Don't lose those. Make sure you got some water in your system as we continue. Last round of tapping I want to do is, it's kind of adjacent to squandering opportunities. And part of it isn't necessarily the squandering of opportunities, but it's just feeling like it's too late. I should have started sooner. And since I didn't start soon enough, didn't seize what was in front of me, then it's really easy to feel like I don't deserve it now. Tap on the side of the hand. Nice, easy breath. And it's so funny as we think about this, as I was scrolling through social media today, I actually saw this really awesome video of a gentleman at the age of 80 getting his undergraduate degree. And he was pulled away from his university studies because he was drafted into the Army for Vietnam. And the fact that he came back decades later, and you could see how much it meant to him and the other students who had studied with him. It's not too late. Tippy top of the head, move from point to point. I recognize the fact there is a part of me that feels like it is just too late. I could have started sooner. I should have started sooner. It's a major failing because I didn't start sooner. And things might have been different if I started sooner. But it does not matter what came before this moment. It does not matter if there were opportunities before. The only thing that matters in this moment is the next choice I make. In this moment, I give myself permission to know that this moment is the perfect moment for me to start. This moment is the only moment I have. And so I give myself permission to start fresh, to start new in this moment. What came before is less important than what comes next. How I acted before is less important than how I act now. I give myself permission to see myself as a new creation in this moment. Learning from my past, being informed by my past, but not being defined by my past. It is safe, and I am allowed to seize this moment because it is never too late to start. Nice deep breath. Again, jot down whatever came up inside of that. Any resistance that is there, any tail enders that are there, any memories, any stories. Let them go. Write them down. Tap on them to let them go, to release them, because we don't want those things defining what is going on. Lisa's written, regret is a tool instead of shame and guilt. Absolutely, 100%. My goal when I'm dealing with my past, I'm never trying to forget my past. There are people who say things like, oh, I do my past exactly the same again. I would not. There are times in my past where I've hurt other people. There are times in my past where I did stupid things. Would I be a different person if I didn't do those things? Absolutely. But I'm okay being a different person. So there's a part of me that sees that. And so as I engage with it, what I'm doing is I want to move from shame and guilt to regret. That is healing and transformation for me as I think about my past. What else do we got going over here in the chat box? What I squandered was not a specific or event or opportunity. I squandered was my soul's freedom to express itself. Absolutely. It's so easy to think not that I squandered a moment, but I squandered my giftedness. I squandered who I am. I squandered opportunity. Squander can look at so many different ways. It's so important that we tune into all of those, because it's good for us to recognize how we invest our time and our attention. But if we are defined by those past moments, it prevents us from being something in this particular moment that is great, that is wonderful as we engage with that. Awesomeness. Well, good stuff. So this is something that I have a feeling is going to be worthwhile for you to come back to and tap on again. Bookmark this particular thing. Even if you're joining us live, the exact same link is going to bring you back here again. Those of you joining us after the fact, I appreciate that as well. Because when we are no longer stuck in our past, it makes it so much easier for us to make authentic action in our present life. And again, like I have a why jar. My why jar is every single time I fill up my glass of water, I say one of my whys out loud. And one of my whys is I sit at this desk because I want people to consistently take authentic action in their life, because it will make their world better, which makes the world better, which makes my world better. And so part of this is selfish. Every single time you release and let go of one of those past stories that are binding you as you engage with all of this, not only are you making it easier for you to live an authentic life, you're making it easier for the world to be a better place, which is making it easier for my world to be a better place. So I selfishly, I want it for you, but I want it for me as well. So keep digging into these stories and poking your way through all of that. Awesomeness. So just a couple of footnotes for you. Tapping Q&A podcast. We have a really amazing episode going live tomorrow. We've moved the podcast to Thursday so it doesn't conflict with this, where we're talking about how do we measure progress so we stay engaged with what is going on. I would love if you joined us in the Tapping Mastery Academy. If you go to tappingqa.com/TMA for the Tapping Mastery Academy, you'll get a lot more details about that particular program. And finally, join us next week for the Upper Limit Busters. If you're in a circumstance where you feel like you are not taking the action that you want, one of the reasons could be you are scared or it feels unsafe for you to have safety. And we're just going to be blowing those limiting beliefs apart. Tappingqa.com, ULB, Upper Limit Busters, for all of the details on that. Again, we are back here every single Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you could please do me a favor, I'm going to ask you a small favor. If you enjoyed this tapping, if you've enjoyed engaging with all of this, the small favor I ask of you is between now and next week, please introduce someone to my work. The single highest compliment you can pay to me in my work is to share it with someone else. You don't have to spam your inbox. You don't have to send it to everybody in the world, but you might know one person who is not engaged with this stuff. It would mean the world to me. Send them Tapping Q&A, send them to the YouTube channel, send them the link for the Wednesdays with Gene, whatever it is. It would just mean the world to me if you did that. Wherever you're in the world, thanks for checking in. Thanks for sharing your experience in the chat box as we've navigated our way through all of this. Again, we are back here every single Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I would love it if you joined us live next time. We're going to do a lot of really powerful tapping around all of that. And if you're watching this after the fact on the screen, you will see the playlist of all the past Wednesdays with Gene. Like I said, this is episode 24. It's over 12 hours of free tapping and training just waiting for you on YouTube. I look forward to talking with you and tapping with you next week. Have an awesome day wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye.